it all gets collected at Infinite Campus. We used Power School until maybe 7 years ago, and then went to Infinite Campus. But the implementation of Infinite Campus has been a little bit every year. It started with just grades that, parents and students could see what teachers were recording. And over time, it has bumped up to include all of this online registration, recording of what students indicate as sometimes their postgraduate plans. You can go in, you can find, hey, this is where you're on track for graduation. I guess I just want to remind everybody that as our usage of Infinite Campus grows, it solidifies the information that's there. But when we start something new, there's that implementation period and that adjustment period where the data maybe isn't perfect. We want it to be, but it takes an adjustment period. We see that here. We're going to see it in some of the things we've mentioned. It's a struggle, especially when we get into life skills and citizenship, when things are very subjective. That's how we use it. It's a learning curve for staff. It's a learning curve for parents. Even, I hate to say it, we saw it in transportation. In the online registration process, if parents did not go through and check the box that says, my child needs transportation, or, oh, I need to update my address because we moved in June and I haven't notified the school district. Those things become very, 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 very critical. So historical information, no, we have not gone through and said, well, let's go back and do a bunch of data entry on 5 years of data, because we don't necessarily have it. But it's, as we make that next step, then we can start compiling and have a better handle on those things. So, does that answer your question?
Because it seems like we've had 5 years of data, but yet we only have last year's reported, right?
No,
So
no,
we can kinda-
on this, on what we're talking about here for
Yeah.
behavior, we don't have 5 years in Infinite Campus.
They've never used it before for behavior?
I would say the last year is
Oh,
maybe
so-
when we
okay,
have.
okay. I
Yeah.
wasn't aware of that. That's what I was asking.
Oh, no.
Okay, because I know.
It's
I
only
know
been the last
every-
2
every
years that
school
we've
I've worked
really
in
made a
has had it, or,
concerted effort to
right.
update that.
And I didn't know
We're just
that-
now getting to behavior.
Got it, okay. I thought you had
just now
7
getting
years of data for behavior.
Oh, no,
so that's
we have
why.
7 years of
Okay.
Infinite Campus, but really
Okay.
getting past just the basic
I know, it's
scheduling
really
and
busy.
grading
Yeah, it's a
is
lot.
only been the last couple years.
Gotcha, okay.
So,
And nothing that's been consistent, Barb.
Yeah, and that's
Right.
the important thing,
Correct.
is to get that consistency, yeah.
but I share that because next month, as we talk about citizenship and student participation in things, that's going to be really important for us to remember that checking a box becomes really important when we're talking about some things. Question for you, maybe it's better for whoever. We talked about MS, ACP, SNS, middle school, academic career planning, scope and sequence. I was really excited when I wrote that in cryptic letters today. Lauren and Corey talked about that being a required class for sixth graders, right? So it's an elective for all sixth graders. Eighth graders?
The career planning?
Yeah, the career planning.
Academic career plan.
Is that required for eighth graders or
That's
sixth
for,
graders?
that's for eighth, that's in the
Okay,
eighth
eighth
grade.
graders. So then what you're looking at here is that the participation in that are things that are beyond the classroom.
Yes.
You're talking about those things, but then what we're reporting here is beyond that.
So Cindy, what you have to remember, like when ACP went into effect, it does start with sixth grade. This school year
Yep.
is the first year that 9-week elective has
Yep.
been created for eighth grade. But the past couple years, because we built into this before we had
Yep.
to really build into this, the state doesn't define how districts have to meet their academic career planning requirements per se. So like you're not going to find anything in the legislation that says you must have a elective course for all students. There's different ways that we can meet that, and in the past couple of years, it has been more about the counselors getting into the classrooms
Right.
a set number of times throughout the year. So this year, how we're approaching the 8th grade year with students has changed a little bit, but
I'd still say for the vast majority, I mean, in looking at the middle school's scope and sequence, it starts all the way back to fourth grade. And they do components right within their core classroom that start getting them knowledge about, well, what are careers and why do I need to know this? And for 4th, 5th, and then the beginning part of 6th, they're really just building that knowledge base of what are careers. And then moving into that 6th, 7th, and 8th is when they really get into that exploration of various types of careers based on interest inventories that they take. And so the work that we want them to do is really around just in the beginning stages in that 4th and 5th grade years, just that knowledge of what is this, and then shifting into that exploration. And as the guidance counselors go into the classrooms, they're exposing kids through various kind of mini lessons, topics within the academic and career planning that align with tools and resources that are within the career cruising portal that they can explore.
So for this one, for the 6th through 8th grade, our original indicator was that we were going to have increased the amount of students that did a career survey
An
assessment,
inventory.
an inventory. And so then when we worked with John Crombie, who's the counselor at the middle school, we found out that 95% of the students already did a career survey assessment. Well, how can you increase on that? So then we said, well, what is the next step? And we worked with John and we looked at all of that. And he said, well, there's this scope and sequence, and I'd really like to increase the number of students who actually work all the way through that scope and sequence at the end of the 8th grade. Perfect. That's a really good goal. We want to do more with the activities. We want to increase the amount of students who by the end of their 8th grade year work through that scope and sequence. So instead of just keeping that original indicator that all students do a career survey assessment, that's why we chose to expand upon that scope and sequence by the end of their 8th grade year.
Okay,
Okay?
I think I get it.
Okay.
I think I get it. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions about Infinite Campus and our recording process and our timeline for that? Okay. All right. Thanks. All right, moving on to our monitoring reports.
Next month, citizenship.
For, yes. Okay, so this E3 interpretations and indicators will then be an action item for us to approve the interpretations and the indicators portion of that. Will be on the next agenda. Okay, moving on to EL 11 and 12 monitoring reports. Just a reminder that we have already approved the interpretations and indicators for both of these. That was done this spring, so this is the first formal report of that. We have, in that process, then we have taken the interpretations and the indicators that are there. We've determined them to be reasonable interpretations of, and then indicators that are supportive of compliance or non-compliance. So they're going to define whether we're compliant. And just a heads up, Annette has chosen to put some screenshots, some photos of data in here. That is just examples of some of the tools that they use. It's not a discussion about the data itself, because obviously we don't have background information. It's not in the context that would be appropriate, but it's attached as informational for us to see the type of tools that are available to them. And obviously, it's not all inclusive, you know. It's a snippet of what's out there that is part of the work being done every day.
Yep.
Did I miss something?
Nope.
I think that's it. All right.
Okay. So
Go for
EL 11 is the instructional program, and I'm just going to read the overall, the umbrella, not all 12 subpoints underneath it, but the superintendent shall not fail to ensure that the district's early childhood through age 21 programs of instruction developed to achieve the board's ends policies meets the needs of diverse learners and includes clearly defined academic standards, a comprehensive curriculum, and assessments to measure student progress toward achieving the mission and the vision. And like I said, there are 12 subpoints under each. And so we have 11.1 through 12 and indicators for each of those. And so tonight I have Becky Schmidt here, who is the Director of Curriculum Instruction, and she and I worked on these actually for about the past month to provide the evidence for each of these. One of the pieces of evidence that we did not attach, but that we did present to the board last year at the beginning of the year, and is a working document as we continue to go through this, is the, I'm going to forget the name.
Curriculum renewal and design plan.
Thank you.
There we go.
That we did not attach as a piece of evidence because it is 27 pages long. And as we had talked with the board earlier, that you don't want entire documents as pieces of evidence to go through that. But it is a document that the board has seen in the past. And like I said, it's a continually working document that we update regularly. We're working on a appendix to one of the, to that document currently, and we continue to work on different pieces of that document. But it is referred to repeatedly in this EL
both
and
EL 11 and 12.
EL 12. So we'll refer to that regularly tonight as we go through as evidence, pieces of evidence. So Becky's going to be the one who is presenting the different pieces tonight. She's only going to hit on several of them. She's not going to go through every single one, especially in EL 11, because there are 12 subpoints and various indicators to those 12. So she's going to hit on some of those that she thinks is of particular interest, especially maybe some that were either in compliance with noted exceptions or perhaps not in compliance. And I will also follow up on some of those that maybe were not in compliance. Want to remind the board in particular for those that because we just did the indicators and interpretations for these in April, there are some that in particular that maybe because as we went through these and we wanted to put processes in place that we probably or maybe did not have in place yet, but I wanted them to be in place as we go, that we may not have had a chance to put in place yet. So they might not be in compliance because we haven't gotten to them yet. So that's could be part of the reason why they're not in compliance. So, Becky, go ahead.
Okay. So as I was working through this report, I was really just trying to identify some of the common themes that run across it, because you start seeing things that come up, and especially across the first 8 indicators, some of the themes kind of resurface just in different means. So like for example, standards is the first one. And as a board, we just did this in July because you adopted standards. Some of the examples that I pulled, like it comes up a little bit later when we're talking about build your own curriculum in this document, where what I provided in that piece is sort of a snapshot showing that is our working portal that we have as staff to keep our curriculum documented. All of our standards in there are also updated in accordance to what the board has currently adopted for our standards work. Professional development also is another theme that goes through this report. A piece, so we provided different snapshots, like with indicator 11.2.1, keeping in mind, and it was sort of an ongoing as we worked through this, that this was 17, 18, a snapshot of a small piece of what staff would have seen going into their summer for offerings. The full document was actually multiple pages, but we communicate different ways through staff and across the year, whether it's through emails, whether it's through Google documents that have everything laid out for them. Throughout the school year, we did instructional coaching for units of study writing and the engagement model, and those dates would have been on calendars, just different places that weren't necessarily so easy. But I wanted to just share with them like the variety of ways that we do share with our staff. Probably in the first part of this report, where you see the most information is surrounded around the topic of data. A lot of the indicators that are presented and in compliance, but just as Annette said, Cindy, sorry, the data that's there, it's not so much the data on them that is important, but just the different views that as staff we have an opportunity to look at. And so I provided a few snapshots from a portal that we adopted, Chet, Wise Local last year, year 1, year 2?
That was year 2.
Yeah. WISE-Dash is a term if you're, if you go on the Department of Public Instruction's website, WISE, there's WISE Data, WISE-Dash, WISE Staff. WISE is a very DPI term. There's a portal called WISE-Dash for districts that, for example, after 11.4.2, that's a snapshot out of that portal. It's a secured portal where we use IDs that are set up through the state and have administrative oversight using that over who we give access to, just Columbus data. WISE-Local is presented in 11.4.1, and I think if I keep flipping through the reports a little bit further in, we have a little bit more local control. It's called local because it's meant to mirror the secured DPI, WISE-Dash for districts, but we have the ability to upload our files. So if we choose to do district level testing, we could work with that and build and upload, and it does nightly uploads from our Infinite Campus system, which the state portal would not. So our staff are able to use that portal and look at their classroom of kids versus the state site, which would show you like a grade level at a time, and get information that way. So that a lot of the data that you see running through here is really just meant to be a representative example of some of the different types of ways that we pull data and look at it on a regular basis in our commitment to working with that. And then kind of another theme, and thank you for bearing with me going through it this way, is instruction in specialized areas. Some of it was just talked about with E3, like the dual credit enrollment courses, but we